e-commerce expansion myths blasted. Successful cross-border expansion help. Listen to the show to hear how one UK company is helping e-commerce sellers successfully expand into Europe and double their profits. Hosted by Andy Hooper of Global E-Commerce Experts.
Okay, so we're going to be starting any moment. Thank you very much for joining us. It's great to have you on board again to hear what you can do to adapt your store and to make your store better during your expansion and to get you to the next level. So we've got an exciting session for you today in the next steps of getting your listing optimized and so on. So what I'm going to do is just go straight into it. Thank you very much for joining us. The key outcomes for today, there's a number. We're going to talk about keywords. We're going to talk about the basics of listings, but then we're going to focus on HTML, photos, infographics, the things you can do to really sex up your listing and make it look really, really cool. And these are the key secrets in the EU to make you do that, on top of things like translations. Yeah, we've already talked about translations. We've already mentioned it. You know, we're not going to go into detail about translations on this today, but it is key for you to know that that is one of the things you need to consider. All right. So I'm your host again today. I'm from Global E-Commerce Experts. My name's Andy Hooper. This is part of a webinar series that we're doing this quarter in order to help you to successfully expand. Thank you very much for joining us and giving up your valuable time. There is an Expanders Facebook group where if you want to, you can talk and communicate with other people that have gone through the expansion series. Hashtag Expanders series. We're well positioned to support you. We've helped over 2,000 sellers now successfully expand. I've personally got 10 years experience in e-commerce in a multitude of roles, and that will bring me to where I am today. But I am joined today again. Thank you very much to Dave. Dave, are you there?
Hello, thank you for having me on board. I'm Dave, I work for GE and I am part of the digital team working on Amazon, managing clients' accounts, helping them run their stores across the EU and various other bits like that.
Excellent. So Dave's going to give us some in-depth details, how he helps his clients and what he does with their accounts in order to get them to sell more around the listing specifically. So that's perfect. Thank you very much, Dave. So don't go anywhere because you're up pretty quick. So here's our success pathway. Most of you, or we've probably seen some of this for some people, we've got the 6 main steps of the success pathway, and we're currently on marketplace launch and listings and what we need to do there. We've done some of the promote areas. We've talked about pay-per-click ads. We've talked about vouchers. We're just resubmitting around the listings, the key content you want there. And then we're going to be moving forward with some of the areas over the next 8 weeks or so. So we're really, really excited to go through some of those. But what we're really focusing on is that listing optimization and what we need to do with that today. And Dave's going to go through that with me. So without much of ado, I'm going to hand over to Dave. Dave, over to you.
Thank you very much. So when we talk about listing optimization, there's quite a lot of different sections to that. And one of the main one is keywords. Now, a lot of people immediately just, when they're creating a listing, they start off with putting the product title, putting the quantity, price, description, images, everything like that. They stick it out there and that's it, they're done. Totally not done. There is a back-end SEO metadata field which is absolutely imperative that you look at and input keywords and search terms onto, because it's really going to help ensure your listings get found on Amazon. And without it and just relying on the product title alone, you're really gonna struggle. You can see some examples with images here of what makes good search terms in the back end and which doesn't make so good search terms. Now, there's a lot of different requirements and different guidelines around that. We're not going to go through them all today. If you want some support on that, we can help you with that, but I'm not just going to run off everything because we're going to be here forever. There is a character limit, everything like that. You're not allowed to use other brand names, competitors to your advantage by putting them in your keywords. That's off limits. So we can talk to you about that if you like, but today we're just going to be talking to you about what sort of things you're going to want to do to really optimize your listings through keywords and how you're going to get the edge of your competitors by doing that. So it's really important to include the synonyms when you're doing your keyword search terms in the back end. If you really want to use all 200 characters you've got available to you. And if you're not really too sure on what keywords are your top searched results, you can always, like we talked about several weeks ago on the Amazon PPC webinar, pull a report on your Amazon campaigns and see which search terms and keywords are positively converting your products and creating sales for you. They're obviously good search terms to have in your keywords in the back end because they're ones that are really working with your customers. Again, if you're not too sure, there are other methods as well. We recommend Jungle Scout or Helium 10 as 2 keyword optimization websites you can use for research. But that's really keywords in a nutshell, and how important it is. We see so many people leaving this out and they're really struggling because of it. But the back end keywords aren't and search terms and platinum keywords aren't the only place you can absolutely cram full of keywords. The product title, description, and key product details or key bullet points, whatever you might call it, it's also essential to absolutely fill them up with keywords as well. Because your listings will absolutely be lost if you rely on solely search terms or solely your title. It's really important that you use a mixture of having them both in the front end and the back end. And you really want to connect with your potential customers and make them aware of what your product will be used for, how it might be beneficial for them specifically, and give more product detail than your title might. You can see some examples here of brand name, whatever your brand name might be, and wine cooler. It's an absolute no-go. That's not nearly enough detail to get you found on Amazon. And if you do get found, nobody's going to click on something as basic as that, because you're going to be up there in the search results with competitors who might have titles such as the one above, which is totally great, where they have brand name, freestanding, under counter wine cooler in black finish with double doors, etc. The detail there and the keywords input into the title are really going to help it be found so much easier, as well as just give that much more information that might help somebody want to click on that one over yours. So it's really important that you really cram that full of detail and keywords. Here we can see some key product details or the bullet points, whatever you might call it. Again, this one's a bit of a no-go. There's only 3. The maximum is 5. We recommend you use all 5 at all times, wherever possible. You really want to make sure that they're more than just a line each. If you can get a line or two or 3 lines, really cram full with all the keywords that you know are relevant to your product, as well as giving them more information about the product. This isn't your product description. This is more about key details, benefits, components that maybe are different to your competitors that will give you an edge. And then on the next slide here, we can see a much better version. All 5 bullet points used, 3 or 4 lines in some cases, talking about some of the benefits. 3-year warranty, that's not needed in the description, but it might be a really good point to convey in the key bullet points to really think, oh, hang on a minute, this person's got a 3-year warranty. This other seller doesn't. It's the things like that you really want to get across here. And we recommend doing your most important key product details at the top, and then making your way through less important as you work down, as people read from top to bottom, just in case they only read a couple and then scroll down and get disinterested. You want to make sure you get your really important points out of the way at first. So just reiterate here, 5 is the maximum number of bullet points allowed. Make sure that your listing has no less than that. Start with the most eye-catching features. And you should differentiate your product from competitors here, not just re-describe what your product is. That's what the description is for. And if you can, include a call to action where you can really drive somebody to, when they see that, they go, oh yeah, I could see that being beneficial for me. Now, talking of descriptions, HTML is something you can do there. Now, having brand registry, which is something I'm sure we're going to be talking about on the webinar series further down the line at some point. And it is a huge advantage that gives you access to enhanced brand content, which you may or may not have heard of. but that's just a way of making your content really visually appealing with images and stuff in the product description. But if you don't have access to that, your brand isn't registered or enrolled on brand registry, that doesn't mean you can't make your product descriptions more visually appealing to your customers. You can use HTML descriptions. And this helps the look of your product description by turning it from a big wall of text into a really nicely formatted layout of text with emboldening, underlines, bullet points, line breaks, and it just makes it look that much more professional, and compared to the wall of text you might currently have or might see your competitors have. You really want to make sure your product really stands out. And there's some really easy ways of doing that. You don't need to be a computing genius. You don't need to know code. There's a website which we've got here, and there's probably many others you can find, where you just take your product description in its simplest form, and you go on this website, and it will give you two fields, and you put your product description on one side, and you can then enter your line breaks, underline certain bits, embolden certain bits, really make it look how you want to make it look. And there are some rules around that. You can't go completely wild with it, but there are a lot of symbols you can include, underlining, bolding, line breaks, and then you just hit basically translate or convert, basically like a Google Translator. And then on the other side, the other field, it will give you the HTML version of that description. You can then copy that, take it to your Amazon listing, paste it in the product description, and then the text you initially created on the left side with the bullet points and everything, that's what will be available for you on your Amazon store. And that's really important if you haven't got brand registry, because it's absolutely amazing way of giving that visual flair to your listing, which still a lot of customers, which a lot of sellers I'm still seeing aren't using that, who don't have brand registry. So if you're not doing that, absolutely free, absolutely really easy, and it's absolutely essential you do that. So we've talked about the back end keywords, the front end title, description, key bullet points, but also images are very important. You really want to make sure when somebody searches for your type of product, that your picture is what they gravitate to and what captivates them. And if you want to make sure that you're keeping customers on your page for longer, helping them choose your product over your competitors, you really need vivid photography, vivid images that can really help catch their eye. Now, everyone has one image. You have to have one image, otherwise your product gets suppressed, I think it's called, and it won't let you go live. But we do see some people just have one image and that's it. But that really shouldn't be the case. You can have up to, I think it's either 7 or 9. I think it's 7. So you really want to be using all 7 available to give customers or potential customers the biggest chance of converting by giving them that much more information and different pictures of your product. And there is different versions, some different types of products you should definitely be using, rather than just the main image you see here on the left. So the main image, called the main image, it will be the one that appears first to your potential buyers on the search page. So this is the one that you really want to make sure looks very clear and they're very sure what they'll be getting if they're clicking through to you. But also, so the quality needs to be high, but also you want to make sure that people can see exactly what they'll get. So in this, there's some guidelines again around this, and the sort of main thing to consider is it has to be typically a white background where the actual product fills 80% of the frame. And it's really important that they know exactly what they're going to get even before they click. You don't want them to come in and think, hang on, there's too much going on here. What exactly am I getting from this? So this one on the left is a great example, really clear. They're just going to get a kind of chested cabinet, which if we go on to the next slide, you can see the lifestyle image. You can see it in its natural environment as you would see it if you were to buy it yourself. So it allows the buyer to think, I've seen what the product is in the first main image, I've clicked through, and then they can see the second image down is a good one to have as the lifestyle image. You can say, oh, that's an example of where it would be used. And then it gives the potential buyer more thought of, oh, I could picture that at my own home, I could picture that in my garden, and it really helps connect with them on more of a level to help them, to persuade them to buy, really. And the lifestyle images in its obviously life environment as you typically see it, whereas the next type of image is the hero shot. And forgive me, we used a different product here, the hero shot. And instead of finding this one being the product where you'd find it in its natural environment, this one is the product being used by the target market themselves. So in this case, you'd want to have your product being used by the person who is then seeing the image online. So in this case, it is somebody filling up the water bottle, the product, obviously, in this case being the water bottle. They're either drinking from it or filling it up or whatever it might be, but it is in use by the target audience. So the potential buyers, again, will see this image and be able to picture themselves using it. And generally, this type of photo shows off the benefits of the product. So if in this case, if we're going back to the lifestyle shot would be this bottle on the kitchen counter, on the kitchen in the cupboard, whereas the hero shot would be it in use, it being drank from. And then the final type of shot, which is really good and a great way of conveying extra information, is the infographic. And the infographic allows you to do amazing stuff. There's some really cool stuff you can do with infographics of cross cuts and cross sections, where you can pull pictures apart, pull products apart, and kind of analyze the different layers. You can overlay information with text, as you can see with this one. It's got a close up of the one of the switch to open and close the camera. It's got a bit of information there to talk about it as well, and really clearly shows customers more information, as well as being more persuasive. You can talk about, for example, if it was a t-shirt, you could talk about the 100% cotton and really zoom into the fabric and things like that. You can get really quite creative with it, but it's really important that you just don't keep yourself with just the main white image, and really capitalize on the fact that you have 7 images to choose from with the different choices of hero, lifestyle, infographic, and then the one main image.
Thank you very much, Dave. That was great. Obviously, what Dave's been through is the standard templates that you can use across all of the marketplaces. Well, the key thing you can do, though, is you might want to, or you will need to, is translate those. So whether you're in English, German, or wherever you might be, in all the marketplaces, you need to have the right translation done for the right product to make sure that you're talking to the right marketplace in the right language, because there's nothing more off-putting than looking at the listing and it's saying not quite right. So that's really, really important for you to be able to do. Obviously, we can help you with all these sort of things, but obviously you've got the skills now to go away and action those yourself. So outcomes, we talked about keywords, we looked at some of the basics, and we then smashed out HTML, really, really important. If you're not using the most basic trick in the book with HTML, then you need to be doing that. And obviously we looked at photos and infographics, and they need to be included on all of your listings to give you the best opportunities to sell. Next in the series is enhanced brand content and A+ content. Thank you very much for giving up your valuable time. It's much appreciated. But if you do need any help or support or information, obviously you can reach out to all the usual social channels, but you've got our email address there and our phone number as well. And we'd love to support that.
Yep.
So thank you very much. Much appreciated. And we look forward to seeing you next week on the Expander Series webinar. Thank you very much.